Hello and good afternoon on my behalf. I'm actually not Mikko, I'm Janne Volotinen. I come from Exclusive Networks Finland, which is a global distributor for Palo Alto networks. And to do the schedule change, Mikko is actually right now here. And, but let me get started as Mikko comes to the stage, as we will be co-presenting today. And we're going to talk about cyber security, or more in specifics, our Palo Alto networks next generation security platform. And why it's the next generation? Because there was in the marketplace there was an old way of doing security, if you know, just stacking different appliances in row. You know, you put your firewall, then you put your IDS, intrusion prevention and intrusion detection systems. Then you put to the network, you put proxies and so on. You were stacking appliances, and obviously, what we can see in the news. I'm not going to talk about today about the threat landscape, how the threat landscape has changed, and how much. What it causes towards the security needs, but I'm more focusing on the Palo Alto security platform solution, how the next generation platform will actually help you in these threat landscape changes. As I said, cybersecurity has never been in the news so much. When I started working in IT and in the cybersecurity arena, I always had to explain what cybersecurity is. Nowadays, luckily, or I shouldn't say luckily, because when cybersecurity is mentioned, it's always the failure of cybersecurity. At least in Finland, it's almost weekly news, and in global scale as well. It's almost weekly news that one major enterprise, major company has been hacked, has been compromised. There's a new legislation coming from EU regarding data protection. That's going to hopefully change the reporting game on these incidents. But currently the situation is that not even the major part of the incidents are not reported. So people lack the visibility into their network environments, visibility into what's happening with their networks, in their enterprise networks or organizations networks. But today's topic, how many of you have heard about Palo Alto networks? Quite many, I'm happy to see it. But briefly about history of Palo Alto. Palo Alto was founded in 2005 by Mirko. I don't know if you have heard about the guy, but he was the one who was part of the team inventing the first stateful firewall, which was at the time, it was a game changer when it came to the internet or internet gateway security. But what Nero saw, they developed the product a lot. What Nero saw eventually that this product, the stateful firewall, was not anymore responding to the threat landscape, the needs of securing the networks, the needs to secure the business of the enterprises. So he started the idea of creating a new intrusion detection system. But he had a revelation when building the system of detecting the intrusions. He had a revelation in a way of thinking, and that led to founding of Palo Alto. His revelation was that if you can see something, you should prevent it. So the core ideology of Palo Alto is prevent first. So everything malicious or everything negative which you can see, it should be prevented. And you should, of course, have full visibility into everything, into your security products. But they have done something right. The company was founded in 2005, and the first product was shipped in 2007. And after that, the growth has been quite phenomenal. And Palo Alto has been actually the second fastest technology company here to grow in New York Stock Exchange after Salesforce.com. And today we are actually going to go through a few fundamental things. Why is it so? Why Palo Alto has grown so much? What is differentiating Palo Alto from all the other traditional ways or traditional network security vendors? And what's visible, the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant was released a couple of weeks ago in the latter part of May. And already in last report, which was in 2014, it was quite evident that never before, I know quite a lot of people working in the security industry, and they also haven't seen that the vendor field, the group of operators has never been divided into three clear groups of companies. So never before there hasn't been such a clear groups, and that actually what it's a message of that the leaders, the challengers, and the other players. It tells that it takes a massive investments and massive product development to keep up with the ever-evolving threat landscape or with the threat actors. So that has caused the dividing of vendors into three groups. So those companies who have the knowledge and the resources to invest in the research and into the product development, they hold their grounds in the analyst reports. Because what the needs actually are for the next generation security platform, it needs to be, you need to have visibility to all traffic. So basically you have to have visibility into your fully into your network. The platform actually has to be automated. No one has the manpower to handle these things manually or fully manually. It has to be automated as far as it can be. And thirdly, what's evident from the report is that it has to be, the platform has to have global threat sharing, or sort of intelligence network, so to speak. So, for example, Mikko is going to go into detail of Palo Alto's way of handling the intelligence sharing in detail and a little bit more about that concept. And fourthly, there's a new attack vector. So when we talk about security, we will talk about a lot about different attack vectors, how the bad guys can get into your network, get into your business or assets. It's basically there's a more and more common threat vector nowadays, and that's the endpoint. So how do you secure your endpoint? We're not going to go much into detail in today's presentation, but that's what we, thanks to the local news, thanks to the ransomware storm here in Finland, which has been evident in the news as well, and in the organization. So it's a really hot topic at the moment. But Mikko, please, if you want to continue on the actual platform and focus on the optimization and the internet.
Okay, so when Janne promised I'm going to go into detail, I'm not. I'm not going to find the actual one. So basically what we do and why the name is Next Generation Security Platform is this. We call it platform. It has few components in it. Right above me is the network component, so next generation firewall, which is basically the topic for us today. What we do with it is to secure the traffic and give the visibility into the traffic. Because if you think how it's done, for example, the visibility part, you have some kind of net flow, maybe some numbers, firewall log telling you about ports. But today the traffic is not anymore about the ports or restricting ports or IP addresses. If you want to securely allow something, for example, in data center internal flows, if you are doing segmenting, you have to be able to see what the traffic actually is. Let's take, for example, port 443. Normally that's been allowed out to internet from everywhere because it's encrypted and we can't see what's going in it. That means that you are allowing a lot of applications out, or if you are allowing it in, you are allowing potential applications in. So what we do here is that we inspect all traffic and we give the visibility to all applications traversing the network, up to layer 7. After that, the visibility part, we give the ability to control that traffic based on the application. So you can take whatever application, control it, say allow, deny, maybe do some kind of different security checks based on that. For example, if you are talking internet gateways, it might be that I am allowing Office documents from Salesforce.com, but not from Facebook, for example. After inspecting the traffic, making restrictions, allowing something, we can do other stuff as well. For example, I mentioned SSL or SSL. We can decrypt selectively the traffic. So if you have, let's say, in a normal environment, if you are talking about internet gateways, for example, it's like 40 to 60% of that traffic is encrypted. So there is really no other visibility beyond, for example, what certificates they are using and so on and so on. We can take, based on, for example, URL category and decrypt that traffic and automatically check it. Obviously, we don't want to check online banks and such, but maybe unknown category or dynamic IP address range. If there are traffic flows going to those kinds of addresses, maybe we want to open that and check that automatically before allowing that. The intelligence cloud is a way, because we are doing antivirus down here, IPS, DNS blocking and so on. It's a way for us to take unknown threats, so zero-day attacks, new attacks, and make them known ones. So if there is, let's say, a file traversing the firewall, and all of our antiviruses allow it, our file blocks allow it, we can still take that file, send it up to the cloud, where it is open, sandboxed. If it's found malicious, there will be 5-minute delay, and all of our firewall customers will get signatures to block that traffic, that file, from coming into the network. And if it has been infecting the inside of the network, we are also blocking the command and control channels out from all the firewalls. So in the network level, our point is to reduce the attack surface as much as we can. Take all the known threats away from the traffic, give the visibility, what's happening there, reduce the surface from which the attackers can actually launch attacks towards the network. And in the endpoint side, I'm going to briefly touch it, we have a way to actually find zero-day threats there and notify the cloud. So this is in basic the platform ideology. Besides applications, what we do, we can integrate user information as well. Now this might be, if you are talking about data centers, for example, you might want to give totally different kind of access. For example, based on if the user belongs to administrator, you might want to allow all the remote administration tools for that person to go into the server network, for example. If that person doesn't belong to that group, or maybe that IP who is trying to access isn't the person at all, then you might want to give some basic access. what I'm trying to say here with the user identification as one component in access control is that by doing it with IP addresses, so we are allowing some IP address to go somewhere with some port. You don't actually know if that IP address is a legitimate user. We are then trusting the endpoint authentication, or maybe some IoT thing. So that's one big thing. So we are not talking about ports, protocols, IPs. We can, but we are preferring applications and users. And by allowing after allowing something, we can then scan the content. One brief slide here. And why we can do this is because Janne said, we were founded at 2005, so we are really young as a firewall company. But what that allowed us to do is to build the hardware to actually accommodate all this stuff. And this is like high-level picture of our hardware offering, and it has this single pass architecture. So what that actually crystallizes into is that our performance figures, there's always two per platform. The first one is with application identification. So we dig into all the traffic up to layer 7 and look what the actual application is. So that's the first one. And then you divide it by 2, and then you get the threat performance. So we don't have that old dilemma of, if I'm doing IPS, the performance will be here. And if I'm adding IPS signatures, it will gradually drop somewhere. And if I then enable, for example, antivirus, it will drop even more. So once you enable one antivirus signature, our performance will drop to half. But it will stay there until the end of time, so to speak. So it's predictable. And if you buy one now, it will be the same after 5 years. So you don't have to think what will happen if we are releasing new signatures and so on. So thanks for listening. I'm just really brief. If someone wants to actually see what this is in practice, maybe some kind of demo or something, or has some other questions, please come see me. We are here to the evening and to the sauna. So thanks.